Matthew chapter 6, verse 20 reads, "But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth doth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal." In Matthew chapter 6, we're in the second chapter of the Sermon on the Mount when Jesus is preaching to those who are most devoted to him. And you see that, of course, beginning in chapter 5. And as we enter chapter number 6, what you see is Jesus talking about our value system. And when we look at the beginning of chapter 6, he talks about when you're giving your money to the temple in that case, don't do it to make a really big show out of what it is you're doing. And then he says the same thing about prayer. When you're praying, don't pray in such a fashion as to make a real big show about it. Then he goes on about fasting, saying when you're fasting, don't make a real big show about it, because the whole point of all of that is you're doing that as worship to God. It's part of your relationship to God. However, there were those who were doing it just to get the acclaim from the people around them to say, look how spiritual I am. Yay, look at me. And then all of that discussion leads into verses 19, 20, and 21, where that continues with the idea of, listen, don't put so much value on the world around you. Everything here is temporary. The praise of the crowd, people loving and adoring you, that's all temporary. Anything that you can accumulate in this life, if you accumulate, property and assets and great wealth and a huge bank account, these things are going to disappear. We need to ultimately value the eternal things, which are treasures in heaven. And it says in verse 19, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal." Anything that we have in this life can be taken away from us. Our health can disappear, our property can disappear, our money can disappear. It can all be taken, either by just nature or by other human beings. Everything that we have in this life is at risk. There's nothing that we have right now that can't be taken away. And what's encouraged in verse 20 is that we focus on the eternal. "But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, where thieves break through and steal." The things that we do of eternal value will always have eternal value. Those things that we do that will reflect when we are ultimately judged by God, those things can't be taken away. Everything we do in service to God, that remains on our record, and we get to keep that. Nobody can swoop in and take that away. No one can pull the rug out from under us. That is maintained. We will always have that. That is that is the most secure thing that we can invest in. And here's the real kicker, verse 21. "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." The thing that we value most, the thing that we put the most emphasis on, is what's going to earn our gaze. That is what we are going to invest our energy in. That is what we are going to pursue with the most vigor. And so if we decide that we're going to invest in and live for this world, we are going to get our eyes off of Christ and those things of eternal value. Our value system is going to be rearranged in a way that is not in accordance with the truth of Scripture. And so what might happen if we are so good at and savvy at the ways of the world is we might accumulate a lot in this world. We might get a lot that the world, says is important. And we might have other people applauding us for, wow, good job. You've got all this money. You've got all this stuff. You've got all this status. You've got all this education. You've got all this power and authority. You have all these things that the world says is important. But we might look at our heavenly record and go, oh dear, I don't have those things that are really important. And too often in life, people get to their end of their life and they realize, I wasted my time because I focused on the wrong things. And we don't want to get to that point. And is it wrong to have a lot of money and authority and status and stuff? No, it's not. But that shouldn't be the sole focus of our existence. Our heart should be directed at the things of God and the things of eternal value, the things that will last. And therefore we should lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven, where we should lay up for ourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal.